Imagine for a moment a tropical paradise island nestled in the heart of the Pacific Ocean, a tiny nation with just 10,000 people that just a few decades ago was the richest country in the world. But today, Nauru is not only one of the most forgotten nations on Earth, but is also facing a strange crisis: obesity. So the question is, how did this beautiful island become the center of one of the world's biggest health crises? And why are the women of Nauru the main heroes in the fight against this disaster? If you want to find out the answers, stay with me until the end of this video. I promise you'll be amazed. Nauru, a story of paradise, crisis, and resilience. Imagine Nauru, a tropical paradise that was once an economic heaven. This tiny island had one of the world's largest phosphate reserves, making it one of the richest countries on the planet. Its income was so high that Nauruans enjoyed one of the highest per capita earnings globally. But this wealth didn't last. Overmining devastated the land, destroyed the economy, and forced the people to rely on cheap, imported processed foods. And that's where the obesity crisis began. A few decades ago, Nauruans lived off their traditional way of life, fishing, farming, and consuming natural foods like coconuts, fish, and root vegetables. But when phosphate mining ruined the land, they could no longer rely on their own resources. Local foods disappeared, and imported processed foods replaced them. Imagine a small island with no arable land and limited access to healthy food. What's left? Canned goods, sugary drinks, and fatty processed foods. The result? Today, Nauru has one of the highest obesity rates in the world, with over 90% of the population overweight. Let me make this clear. In Nauru, obesity isn't just about appearance or confidence. It's a health crisis. Diseases like type 2 diabetes, heart attacks, and high blood pressure are alarmingly common. For example, statistics show that nearly 1/3 of Nauruan adults suffer from diabetes. And these diseases don't just affect physical health. They're a massive financial burden on a country whose economy has almost collapsed. What's even more heartbreaking is that Nauruan women are disproportionately affected by this crisis. Why are women more impacted than men? In Nauru's traditional culture, women are responsible for feeding and caring for their families. When healthy local food became inaccessible, women turned to processed foods. For them, it wasn't a choice, it was a necessity. This cycle continued to the point where not only their own health but also the health of their families was at risk. Now imagine living every day on a tiny island where accessing healthy food is nearly impossible. Imagine having to choose between the cheapest food available and your health. This is the reality for the women of Nauru. But here's where the story takes a turning point. Nauruan women decided they wouldn't give up. They wanted to break the cycle. And now, step by step, they're fighting for a better future. This crisis isn't the bitter end for Nauru. In fact, this is where the story becomes even more inspiring, because Nauruan women have chosen to lead the change. Even though they live on a remote island that much of the world has forgotten, these women have shown that every change begins with a small step. Nauruan women are building a new lifestyle for themselves and their families. They've started small neighborhood fitness clubs, organized running and walking groups, and are exercising with whatever limited resources they have. It doesn't matter how much equipment or access they lack. What matters is that they've started. One of the most inspiring initiatives by these women has been rediscovering healthy local cooking. Through cooking classes, they've learned how to use natural, traditional ingredients to prepare nutritious and delicious meals. For example, they've started using fresh fish, coconuts, and native vegetables instead of processed foods. But the change isn't just limited to their families. These women have taken action in their communities. They've organized nutrition education sessions to raise awareness and have even encouraged children in schools to adopt healthy eating habits. They're building a new culture, one that puts health back at the forefront. What makes Nauruan women the heroes of this story is that they're not just thinking of themselves. They're fighting for their entire community. In Nauru, women play a central role in leading their families, and here, they've demonstrated their leadership in transforming the future. One Nauruan woman once said, "I'm fighting for my children. I don't want them to struggle with the same illnesses I did." These women are heroes because, even in the toughest circumstances, they've held on to hope and chosen to create a better future. The movement led by Nauruan women carries a powerful message for all of us. Change is possible. Even in the hardest conditions, it's never too late to start. Today, Nauruan women are rebuilding not just their bodies, but their entire community. Their efforts are an inspiration, not just for themselves, but for the entire world. The women of Nauru are fighting not just against obesity, but for the restoration of health, culture, and hope in their society. And that's where Nauru's story turns from a crisis into a global inspiration. What do you think? When a community has been struggling with issues like poverty, obesity, or disease for years, should change start with individuals or with government policies? For example, if you were in the shoes of Nauruan women, how would you break this cycle of crisis? Could you make a difference on your own, or would you need bigger support? Share your thoughts in the comments. But this movement isn't just about weight loss. It's about returning to their roots. Nauruan women are working hard not only to rebuild their health, but also to reclaim their cultural identity. Healthy local foods, which were once a big part of their culture, are making a comeback in their lives, and their efforts send a clear message. We are here, we are alive, and we are rebuilding our culture. This was the story of the women of Nauru, a story of hope, determination, and change. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about their efforts or support them, don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and share it with your friends. And if you're new to our channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can hear more amazing stories from around the world. Remember, change starts with us.